Prentice Johnson, author of fiction novel Lesson 1 and new autobiography, A Leap in a Fall, The Each One Teacher in Small. I'm launching a GoFundMe campaign to create the Collegiate Editions presentation to offer replenishment of the economy for the grant of reparations to the African American former slave. Join me on Toxic Tangents Live, where we'll be discussing abuse. And you'll have your first chance to hear about replenishment of the United States economy and be able to choose between supporting one of your favorite podcasts, Toxic Tangents, and donating to the A Leap in a Fall project. See you there.
Welcome back to the Toxic. Look, it's the morning. All right, it's 10 a.m. Welcome back to the Toxic Tangents podcast. We're joined today by Prentice B. Johnson. He is an author and all that. Introduce yourself.
Hey, Prentice Johnson. I am an author. I'm the author of Lesson 1 fiction novel and now A Leap in the Fall. It's my autobiography. I would like to offer the autobiography to the African American former slave as a way of uh, replenishing the economy, uh, and as well as offer a set for healing. Today, I wanted to come and talk about abuse. I hope I'm able to appease the fans and let them know, some of the things I've been through, uh, some ways of getting over the hurdles suggested um, by the word itself, and hopefully gain perspective and provoke some healing, man.
All right. So abuse. Let's talk about that. What types of abuse have you endured?
Well, types of abuse I've endured personally, both physical and mental, and know as a growing adult male, I've done just as I've given as much as I've taken. Let's not say systematically, but personally. The verbal abuse is a simplistic way of thought, and until you're capable of having an understanding of what the verbal might do, just as a growing adult, not necessarily later in life, but at a young age, I've dished it out myself. I can remember losing a girlfriend through my way of thought. Just calling her outside of her name, which may be a mistake in one way and maybe not in others. But I think more often, I think in this particular category, there's all kinds of form of abuse, and I've suffered from several. So minuscule drug addiction, also molestation as a child. Now, I didn't, com- you know, continue the cycle, but I did experience it growing up. And so I think the healing process begins with admittance within self, an ability to analyze and interpret why particular things happen, and an understanding, and then a growth uh, as we continue. But even more than that, I think in relation to the book itself, uh, abuse, and it's a man, the word is so general because there's so many forms of abuse. And I think I really want to lead to an understanding for how some of these things are capable of happening and what types of things we can do to turn them around.
Interesting. That's wow. That's very deep. So to you, what in your in your point of view, what are some things that we could do to turn them around? I know you said you didn't repeat the cycle on some of these things, which is I find that awesome because you look at various people's past. I'm not going to mention specific, celebrities or whatever, but you probably
Yeah,
know, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, man.
People that
Yeah.
had some documentaries about him and shit, and yeah, it was exactly that. And they kind of, in some ways, try to play the victim, right, and say, "Oh, well, this happened to me. Was I was a kid?" I'm like, "Yeah, but did you have to continue that? You know?"
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, that's another thing. And let's also say that it has to have a beginning. You know, here's the biggest issue. There's so many forms, and I believe honestly the way that it starts, the way one of the ways that we can provoke a change is to change the system. So I believe in the system. I think for us African Americans, it spreads to every race, man. You cannot put it on one particular race, but we suffer the most through our class, our economic class, man. And so we have to have an understanding where this began to take place. And I wanna start off literally by reading an excerpt from my book, uh, chapter 2, where it says that most dark skinned slaves here in the United States are from Africa. Okay, now let's keep in mind that some of us were already here, but this issue had to have been taking place, man, from early times. Because it takes an entire system in order to commit the issues that have taken place in America. Have an understanding for what it took to get the African American slave here. You were stalked, tricked, uh, uh, drugged, murdered, captured, trapped, chained, forcefully transported, deprived nourishment, deprived hydration, forcefully sickened, stabbed, raped, beat, hunted, recaptured, then forced to work for free for a long period of time. Now, recently, I had a podcast where we talked about the Willie Lynch letter and then the reversal of Willie Lynch. And we went into several factors, all the way from whether we believed that Willie Lynch was a real person to the assertion of Willie Lynch and what it actually meant, and then to the reversal of Willie Lynch. And I advise also that you check that one out. Have you read Willie Lynch?
I'm familiar with it. We talked about it actually in one of my earlier episodes, and yeah, basically, if well, how about explain to anybody listening what that is, the Willie Lynch Manifesto?
Man, okay, because the Willie Lynch letter, man, it gets deep, man.
Oh yeah.
Man, it goes deep, man, and to how it was asserted. First of all. When it came about, uh, that is another uh, in-depth detail, you know, because it actually it claims that it takes place just at the tail end of slavery, right? And in it suggests that the slave master has no more need to treat uh, the former or the slave in the way that he does as rapidly as he did. So, whenever there's a problem, it wasn't always necessary to beat the slave. You're messing up your stock by beating the slave. Don't kill the slave automatically. Only kill the slave when he provokes an attack. Condition the slave to believe that he is inferior. Um, and through marketing suggestion, turn the slave uh, and his equals against each other, so that it doesn't look like it's you, but it's actually them. And for many and many years, this has taken place. And then came to the Willie Lynch reversal. Now, for me, it was like thinking of the when I started reading the reversal. That was also deep, man. Because for me, it was like, just the title itself. Yo, you know what I'm saying? I got to step back and think about this title because, I mean, really, for me, it was like, okay, I know what it's about. I know the objective that I want to get to, but what are the actual suggestions? Because the wordplay. For me, I go all the way back and I see wordplay, man. I look at the Holy Bible, all these things, and I'm like, yo, there's a lot of wordplay going on here, you know.
Right. So
But go ahead.
how I understood that Willie Lynch manifesto, and there's actually a controversy about it, which I'll get into. We can get into that in a second. But how I understand that is basically this man, William Lynch. He wrote a letter. He was a slave master somewhere in the Caribbean, and he wrote a letter to some slave owners here in the states, basically telling them like, okay, hey, this is what I did to get the slaves more cooperative, right? And what he was telling them is basically, hey, pit them against each other, basically. Pit them against each other based off of like skin tone and age, and yeah, it was fucked up. Yeah, it
It's
was.
scary, man.
Yeah, it is very scary. So
Man.
especially, it's one of those things that you think about. If you black, you hating on a black person today. It's like, think about history. Like that's literally, you know what I'm saying? Like if you fighting each other, then you ain't no way to come up.
It's like a cliche. Yeah,
It's
man.
basically that premise. Like, hey, keep
Come
them, keep
on,
them, keep them
man.
fighting each other,
Right.
so they don't try to band together and put their brains together and get up out of this. Yeah, so it's pretty fucked up. But there is a controversy behind that because I was in a I was in a space a while ago, and people were talking about like actually do your history. That's not true. And I did some Googles, and look, this isn't a fucking history podcast. Everybody listening, so do your own damn research. But I have heard, you know what I'm saying. I did my Googles, and so people are saying actually it was untrue because if you look at the way that he wrote that letter, like they didn't talk like that at the time that he wrote it. So that's why people are saying it's actually fake. But I think the thing is, regardless if it's fake or not, what he was saying to do, people were doing it. You
Well,
see what I'm saying?
think of it like this. It's a way of causing the mind to wonder how this is all happening still. Because first of all, the suggestion with the continued condition, first of all, it's a conditioning factor involved. Okay, so now
Absolutely.
I got to condition the mind to see first and foremost how is this continuing to happen, man, and really condition the mind to really think about it, right? You know,
Right.
how is it happening, and then condition the
Yeah.
mind to see how do we reverse it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then I start thinking about these things. I'm like, oh, the title's messed up. You know, I'm going into it like, yo, you know, you can't condition a person because there's an insert about conditioning the people to eat. You know what I mean? And they're talking about if you're eating vegetables all the time and all you want is chicken, then you're going to end up hating vegetables. And to me, it's like that particular assertion that is a false theory, because I believe that if you're capable of understanding what gives you the proper energy, it doesn't make you lean toward that other thought. Because if I'm getting something that's constant and it's giving me a lot of energy and I'm able to continue through that energy, and man, I'm staying up, I'm able to run through it, you know what I mean? I'm able to breathe well through it, you know what I mean? All these different things, man. Come on now, you know, I don't believe that if I turn to chicken and that's what I want, every now and again, it's not going to make me not want that better energy, you know. And so then I start thinking of the trickery and the false information, you know, and it's all great to provoke, and it doesn't deter my mind from saying, read this, understand this. These are possibilities. This is what I've learned.
Hey, I'm Prentice Johnson, author of fiction novel Lesson 1 and new autobiography, A Leap and a Fall, The Each One Teacher Next One. I'm launching a GoFundMe campaign to create the Collegiate Editions presentation to offer replenishment of the economy for the grant of reparations to the African American former slave. Join me on Toxic Tangents Live, where we'll be discussing abuse. And you'll have your first chance to hear about replenishment of the United States economy and be able to choose between supporting one of your favorite podcasts, Toxic Tangents, and donating to the A Leap and a Fall project. See you there.